And welcome everyone. Here we're back with another Indie Spotlight. Today we're talking with Nicholas, an awesome creator who's got a book out on Kickstarter. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about his project and whatever else he's got going on. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And just so if anyone doesn't know, my name is Michael. I'm one of the Wicked co-founders. I'm joined by my fellow co-founder today, Matt. How's it going, man?
How's it going? Pretty
Thank you,
good.
man.
Yourself?
I'm just going good, man. I'm excited to talk a little about Demon Hunter Raven today. So, Nicholas, do you prefer Nick or Nicholas?
Doesn't matter. I guess
Doesn't
it depends
matter.
on if there's more than one Nick in the room, but yeah, Nick or Nicholas doesn't matter.
That's funny. Well, I appreciate you taking time to sit with us and talk with us today about your book and whatever projects you got going on. We're happy to hear all about them. So, without further ado, let's dive into this. I always like to start with a little bit of an introduction for maybe people who don't know you or your work. So, why don't you just tell us who you are and a little bit about your project?
Okay. Well, as he's already said, I'm Nicholas Mueller, and kind of a little out there. I'm the creator of Demon Hunter Raven, and we're running a Kickstarter right now. We're down to the last 18 hours or so.
Wow.
Demon Hunter, yeah, we're good. We're funded already, so now we're
Nice,
just kind
man.
of.
Well, hey, congratulations then.
Thank you.
That's great to hear, man.
Yeah, so anything extra will just be used for like hiring more artists to do promotional stuff and kind of whatever we're going to kick into the next phase of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. The more the better, right?
Oh, exactly. But yeah, Demon Hunter Raven is a supernatural sort of book. If you like stories or animes like Bleach, Blue Exorcist, like Devil May Cry, or movies like Doctor Strange, Daredevil, this will be right in your alley. It's a brutal story about a young kid named Adam who encounters a horde of demons, and in the process comes across this thing called the Holy Relic and infuses with him and gives him these supernatural powers to combat against these things. And in the process, he ends up joining a group called the Demon Hunters through the Order. And it's a group of people that systematically go around and kind of patrol the city and protect them from malicious and evil spirits or vampires, ghouls, demons, whatever pretty much I feel like drawing or working on at that point. But their job is to protect the city, protect whatever is around them, and to keep the people that can't see these things from being harmed or taken over by these malicious evil spirits, demons, whatever have you. So that's kind of the general summary of the story, and it's going to go in a lot of directions. But the first chapter is just basically kind of an origin setting, kind of like a Batman Begins or a Spider-Man, sort of deal, where we're getting to know the main character, Adam, and why he does what he does and how he came into this sort of prospect. So and it's a lot of brutalness, like a character like Daredevil, like, he gets beat up, but he always gets back up, and there's going to be a lot of fist fights, I mean, half the book is just fight scenes, but they're not just fight scenes for the sake of a fight scene. There's a point to it. There's always a motive behind each thing. There's the characters going after something. So if you're into shows like, or mangas like Bleach, or you're into like comics like Daredevil, this will be kind of up your alley.
That's awesome, man. Well, you definitely hit all my check marks there, because I'm definitely into all those series that you mentioned there.
Sweet.
And yeah, no, definitely, man. And I was curious about, what can you tell us about this main character, Adam?
Yeah, so he's at the start of this story is 16 years old, and as the story progresses, we're going to watch him age. This is going to be kind of like a Dragon Ball situation, like Goku, where it's going to start here, but we're gonna watch him grow throughout this. But in terms of this first chapter, Adam's kind of a hothead, but he's kind of that quiet kid in the background, and he has a pretty tragic event occur to him right off the beginning of the story. Something happens to his dad, and in the process, he comes across this holy relic that fuses him with this thing, as him and his dad are attacked by demons. Adam's been able to see demons or spirits of any kind since a very early age. And it wasn't one of those cool things where it's like, hey, man, I can see like an imaginary friend. No, these have been like nightmare elements that have scared him in an early age. So he's always lived with this incurable fear of like what's going to be around him. And his dad's always tried to help him through that. And so in the process, he loses his dad. And then he ends up having to battle these demons on his own. But in that process, the Order comes and helps him and helps him fight these demons. So the main theme of the story is a lot about tragedy, loss, despair, and kind of coming to terms through those events and battling through them. So kind of hence the point of there's going to be a lot of fights in it, because Adam is the type of guy that he doesn't think first. He'll just go straight into battle, which gets him into a few problems. And we'll actually we'll get him into issues with his superiors. The group that he's working with is kind of a military-based organization, kind of almost a paramilitary sort of group. And they have rank and titles and everything. And the head leader of this group is called the Crusader, taking on kind of the spiritual nature of it. The Crusader is heavily a perfectionist. He does not want you stepping outside of rank. Very authoritarian. He just puts his foot down, and he will not put up with anybody's, dismissive behavior. He wants everyone locked toe, and he wants them right there. And Adam is completely opposite of that. So these two are just butting heads constantly. So there's going to be a lot of conflict even within the people working together. So in order for them to obtain their goals or even take on these demons that are infesting the city, they've got to work together, and it doesn't always work out, as you can see in the first 10 pages that are provided on the Kickstarter. I got the first 21 pages up out of the 48 pages of the book. And the first 10 pages just kind of give you a pretty good glimpse of, their sort of contradictive behaviors or personalities even. So yeah, a lot of conflict.
Well, that's definitely, I can see why you'd say that it's great for fans of Bleach, because that's obviously a heavy action series, so it definitely can kind of give you an idea of the kind of fight scenes you can kind of expect perhaps going forward. Yep. And which actually brings me to another question I had, which is are you very heavily influenced by manga and anime in general?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice. That's awesome.
And that's kind of the general direction why I was taking this in black and white to begin with, was not only because it's just cheaper on myself. I'm a one-man team. I'm doing all the work, but also I can afford to do this a little bit cheaper and put it out there for people. And heavily influenced by manga tone, and even like indies from way back in the day, such as like The Crow and the first publications of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, when they were in these black and white and they're just these gritty atmospheres. I wanted to really kind of touch those sort of things and kind of put those sort of things forward.
Do you not work with anyone else and you do all the art yourself? Is that right?
Yeah, I do it all myself, and then just promotional material ends up being kind of like various other artists.
That's such cool,
I got a guy named Diego Albuquerque, and I'm probably butchering his name, but he did the other variant that is running on the Kickstarter as well, and he's a fantastic artist.
Yeah, we're gonna pull up in just a little bit here, but yeah, I'm looking at it now, and he does some great work as well there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, everything is looking really good, man. Like I said, I'm gonna pull this up so everyone can see it, but so far everything's looking great, man, and I really like the story that you kind of set forward here. It's definitely got a really cool feel to it.
Thanks. Yeah, and each part is done in a chapter-like format. 40 to 48 pages is kind of what I'm going to be going for, and they're going to contain stories that will still continue a narrative, but like if you decide you're done with this story, you'll have a conclusive end. I kind of want to do something like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, where you're getting a full story in that book, and there's going to be a lot of content in there, but you're going to go from point A to point B, and there'll still be the ability to continue off, but I mean, there will be a conclusion to that story within the same book. So you're getting one comprehensive story with a lot of story packed in there right away.
About how many pages is this issue?
It's currently at 48. I originally was doing 40, nice. And then when I put it up there, it's 48. But that's
that is a lot of content, man.
Yeah, and that's kind of the nice thing about doing it in black and white with tones is you can afford to do more pages because printing black and white is far more effective. But the only other half of it, though, is some people aren't willing to give black and white a chance, and they'll just kind of immediately turn their head and keep going. So,
which is a shame. I think I personally love the black and white manga aesthetic. There's something just so clean and just visually kind of appealing about the whole thing.
Yeah. And it just gets some of the visual points across a lot easier sometimes.
True. That's very true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, well, that's awesome, man. And so how did you kind of first come to start working on your art style? Like, when did you first start developing that?
Boy, well, so I officially started drawing when I was really little. As soon as I could pick up a pencil, and
Mm-hmm.
some of my first inspirations was the 1987 Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Nice.
Drew them all the time. It got to a point where I think that's all I drew, so I really lacked proper anatomy skills and everything else. And then I started just studying more and started picking up some freelance jobs. And let's say about 2008, I was getting some small bits of work here and there for anthology works. Because back in the day, before you had Kickstarter and Twitter and Facebook and that, you were doing anthologies.
Oh,
And, so in order for a publisher to take you on, you had to show that you had the chops to be publishable or printable or whatever. So you had to show that you could work on this stuff. And I ended up in one of the first Alterna anthologies that when Peter was first putting out stuff.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. That's really cool, man.
I got to dig that up. It's in a storage cabinet.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was,
That'd be
it was
good one.
issue 4. Yeah, it was like Alterna Tales or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Me and this guy had like a 4-page little short in there, and I was really proud of that thing.
I bet, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was a cool little story about this woman gardening, and the garden decides they don't like her doing what she's doing anymore, and they ended up taking her over and making her into a plant. It was just
that sounds fun, man.
Yeah, it was visually really interesting to tell, and it was really, really hard, but I think we nailed it. But
nice.
That was 12 years ago. But
wow.
Yeah, then the recession hit in 2008, and just freelancing just was not a suitable career anymore. So I ended up going back and just finding a career and working jobs, and now I'm kind of back settled again that I can financially handle this on my own, and so that's why
I'm back into it, huh?
Yep. So this Kickstarter
awesome.
isn't to actually like fund any of the production. Everything's done on the book, lettering, drawing, all that stuff. I'm just looking for print costs, just to kind of help in that area, and it's, I guess you can kind of say, almost like a pre-order sort of deal.
Yeah, really. Yeah, just kind of make sure the book can get printed and out into people's hands, really.
Yeah, and people are going to get their book no matter what's going on. As soon as everything's done tomorrow, I'll be sending out the files in like the next few days. So it's gonna be a quick turnaround, hopefully.
Very nice, very nice. And in just a second, I'm gonna pull up the you go ahead and pull up the Kickstarter here.
All right.
But what kind of length of these series have you kind of planned out? Have you planned forward beyond this first Kickstarter?
Yeah. So I guess the next phase will be just kind of figuring out what's the best way to distribute it beyond the simply doing Kickstarters, because you want to have more than one distribution system. So I'm kind of playing around with maybe a Patreon or some sort of way that people can get like smaller chunks of the story and digest it, maybe through some sort of free way or some sort of monetary way. So yeah, there's plenty more stories. I'm working on actually a 12-page little side story, kind of like an issue 0 that will be for backers only. I'm writing it up right now. I'm going to start drawing it this week. That will be for anyone that backs the book right now. We'll be getting a digital copy, and if we make enough money, I'll print it off. But I'm not promising that one right now.
But maybe we'll see.
yeah. I don't want to make a promise and then.
Right. No, I get that, man.
Yeah.
So okay, well, I think I'm ready to pull this up here.
Sweet.
So what as I get the Kickstarter ready to show, what was kind of your reasoning to choose Kickstarter over Indiegogo? Did you have any specific reasoning or preferences, just out of curiosity?
I'm personally not as familiar with Indiegogo. I shop a lot on Kickstarter, so I'm just more familiar with the format.
Nice.
So just in general, I just prefer its layout and its system more.
And here we have it. So we have the page here, and so as you said, you've already made a goal. We've got a $500 goal, currently at $546 with 17 hours to go. So if people are curious about the book or want to check it out, there's limited time on this one. So it is something that needs to be done. You need to purchase it by Monday, April 6th, 2020 at 12:55 p.m. That specific time.
Yeah.
So just to put that out there, because usually a lot of these we have a little more time with, but this one is coming down. So to kind of get into it, we see here we have Adam. He's the main character, as we said earlier. And I take it is this him? Is he wearing the ancient relic there?
Yep. So the ancient relic puts an armor over him, and he basically fuses with it. It gives him a supernatural sort of armor over him. So that's what he looks like in that state. It's it's got electrical based powers, so that's why he's glowing in that sense, as you'll see in the free pages along as well. He's to kind of go along with his hot-headed sort of nature. He's I would describe him kind of like a thunderstorm. The way he gets into a battle is he's ferocious. He's full of rage, and he just kind of just makes a mess out of everything. So,
jeez. Sounds like it might be not a good thing to get in his way. You know what I mean? Even if you're his ally.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he goes into full berserk mode, but I mean, he just doesn't. He's not a trained fighter yet, and that's something we will dive into later in stories. But like this is him at like his most immature state. So definitely want to set up the blocks to grow him later and just kind of see this character age and mature as the story goes on.
Right, because as you said, we're going to kind of follow him as he gets older. That's right?
Yep.
That's cool, man. Yeah, so as you said, he's a bit immature here, and he's still learning how to kind of harness this and use his new ability, I would imagine.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting to kind of tell that story and go further into that.
But so let's check out the perks that you got going on, because I always love to check out the different stuff that you have on offer.
Yep.
So first one we got here coming up is a simple reward pledge back in the project if you just want to see it succeed, and you don't necessarily want to pick something up, but you just want to help it succeed. And then we move on to the first reward perk, which is the thank you. Here you get added to the mailing list for exclusive content. So what can you tell us about that one?
It's just a mailing list. It will be for people that want to keep up to date on stuff.
Maybe exclusive or upcoming kind of things in the future, I would say, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyone that's on the mailing list will get first see stuff, and they'll get exclusive stuff, first time things, and they'll be the first to know about anything. So if you really want to keep up, that's the place I'm going to be updating the most probably, and we'll lead you to areas that you want to go to first if you want to purchase books or even previews of stuff, because there's going to be a lot of stuff I won't be putting up on social compared to what I'll be doing on the mailing list.
That's nice, man. Yeah, it's kind of a nice way to get more information about what you got going on.
Right.
And then, of course, I always like to see it digital. So I actually think you're doing really good here, because a lot of people leave out the digital, but a lot of people, they need digital right now.
Yeah, that's a shame to me. I'm starting to realize, being more on Twitter lately, that there's a lot of books that don't do digital. That's stupid to me. That's stupid.
Yeah, it's a nice choice. I always think too. Yeah, it's like it doesn't hurt to just throw it on there, and a lot of people really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, like myself, I can't afford, or do I have the room right now for a physical book? And I love supporting campaigns if they got digital. I mean, I'm exclusively digital all the way through right now. So.
Well, I know, and a lot of people just want the immediacy of it. Where you can just grab it and read it and take it where you want, and it's very convenient in a lot of ways. So I definitely get that. Man.
And with this book, I'm planning on putting the digital up no later than the end of April if everything works okay. I'm just got to do some technical stuff, make sure everything is up to spec and all that. But the book will, in terms of digital, will be out by no later than 2 to 3 weeks from now.
So that's even better, man.
Yeah. So if you're bored, it's coming soon.
Right? It's like perfect timing, really.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Excuse me. So on the next one, we have the $10 tier, which is the first physical tier.
Yep.
And this one, I want to note, it has an estimated delivery date of July 2020. So is that kind of where you're still feeling pretty good about that date?
Yeah, as long as everything still, like, if we're back up and running as a country pretty soon, that's going to be all right. I'm about 90% sure I'm going to go through Kablam for printing on this, and I know that their printer's shut down right now, so they're not. They're just taking invoices, so I'll be kind of at the beck and mercy of their printing process. But and again, I'll be updating people if anything comes up. That's my number one thing is you got to communicate with your people. You got to keep stuff.
Oh yeah, that's I always say it, and I'll say it again. You can have delays and stuff, but people will understand it as long as you give them that update and you're talking to them, and it does sound like you're really giving. It does sound like you're staying on top of that, which is good.
Yeah. So as far as everything, I can tell we're still good for July. I really want to push it sooner than that, but July is like the latest I want to go.
Okay, very nice, man. And I've heard a lot of good stuff about Kablam and and how their quality is. So that'll be you get kind of rest assured that you're getting quality books here.
Yeah, their stuff's good. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so this one also comes with the PDF, just in case you want to read it early, and you just can't wait for that physical to come in. You can pick up your physical, get your PDF, read it, and then read it again once the physical comes in.
Yeah, the PDF will be with every single backing and the mailing list as well. So no matter what you back for, you're going to get the PDF and you're going to get on the mailing list. So irregardless, whatever you sign up for, that you're going to be put on that.
And on the next one we have
right now.
Right? Yeah, seriously. Now on the next one we have the Super Digital Pack. What can you tell us about this one?
So this was actually brought to me by someone that was out of the state, out of the country, that said they didn't want to buy all the physicals because shipping and handling, which I understand, but they still wanted all the content, and they just said, hey, can you do us like a package? And I was like, yeah, sure, because I didn't have it at the beginning of the Kickstarter, and it's got all the content that's on here, some previous past work. So I've got an art book, all of the character designs, sketches, page roughs, and pages that just completely didn't make it in there, that were at almost kind of like half finished. And then anything like from promotional material, rough layouts and rough character designs. It's about close to 50 pages right now, but it's only digital, and it comes with the digital book. And then a story that I was working on 2 years ago called Northern Nights. That's an all ages, kid friendly book. And then just a quick general story about that. That was when I have two little boys, so that was kind of based upon them at the time, about this turtle nation that gets overtaken by the Boer Empire, and they enslave the turtle nation, except for one that gets lost in the mayhem, and he teams up with a ragtag group of other anthropomorphic creatures and goes and tries to go and rescue his nation, his brothers and sisters and such. So it's very much a kind of like a Final Fantasy sort of RPG sort of thing, where one character meets up and they all band together and they go try to save their friends. So it's an all ages, very sort of campy little story, but that's only 20 pages.
Man,
yeah. So
digital one?
yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all digital. So yeah, that's
awesome, man. No, what's that?
I was gonna say it's much older, so it's not at, just to give everyone a pre-warning, it's not at the same level of art that I was producing for this book. So it was
it will be interesting to see your evolution as an artist, really.
Yeah, and it's a lot of anthropomorphic creatures and a lot of kind of awkward proportions. So I'm probably not the best salesman for it anymore.
Hey man, well, if anything, now's a good time for that as well, with Beastars being so popular on Netflix and whatnot.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
hey, man.
No kidding.
Get some maybe get some fans from there coming over there. Now, before we move on to the next one here, I just kind of want to talk about the art a little bit, and just because here's a nice example of the black and white kind of art that you do. And can you tell us maybe a little bit about how you settled on this style for the comic?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking in between like a Jim Lee meets Takashi Obata, the artist for Death Note and stuff like that. Because when you're doing black and white, you really want to have a strong emphasis on contrast and clear visual representation of the story. Because with color, you can use atmosphere and certain hues and stuff to like pinpoint like maybe certain elements. But and like even in manga, the artist will use certain blacks to kind of help you put your focus on the eye and everything, or focus your eye onto a certain object. So the idea was to go into extreme detail, like a Jim Lee sort of page, but have it somewhat rendered in a somewhat fantastic style, like Obato's Death Note sort of style. So there's going to be fantastic elements, but at the same time, maybe a little skewed, but as much detail as my hand could put in there.
How long do you think that first panel took you, man?
That took me 3 days to do.
Oh man, that's a lot of work.
And for people that are doing digital, I made it so you can zoom into as far back into that background as you can go, and there's tiny little details. I got billboards in there, and
oh wow,
it's got
that's amazing, man.
There's going to be pages where that if you want to go and look further into the background, I've got little things in there. So
Well, I love that art, or rather that detail that you put into
Thank
the
you.
art. Yeah,
Thank you.
it just makes it so rewarding, and you really do these landscape scenes quite well.
Thanks.
Everything
Yeah.
really, honestly, and you have a very deft hand.
Oh, thank you. My hand probably hates me though after the amount of time I spent
Oh,
on it.
I'm sure. I'm very sure.
Yeah. So,
Oh, that's funny, man. Well, moving on to the next tier here, we have the print and physical book. So what comes in this tier?
so it is the physical book, the digital download, and a print. It's just the cover minus all the graphics on it, and so you're getting a print of that and the book. So um, if you're into prints and that sort of stuff, this is the reward you would want to go for.
Very nice. And let's see here. So you said the print. What exactly does the print show again?
Um, it would just be like the Virgin cover. So it's the
Mm.
regular cover
Mhm.
of him standing there with that sort of reddish background.
Do we have an example of that later on the campaign page?
Yeah, it'd be a little bit further down. It's
Okay.
I have them kind of imaged out and are visualized out and all that. So
We will see that in a second, definitely. And then the $25 tier is called the Diego variant cover. Oh, that's the variant artist you mentioned earlier.
yep. And this was him doing his rendition. Amazing artist. I could say I could speak ecstatically about him up and down. He did a really cool visual representation of the character, and Nessa Radulia colored it up, and so just cool, really seeing of Raven being a total awesome character, kicking some demon butt. So if you like that cover, that one's there. But again, that will come with a print as well, and it will be that cover minus all the tiles graphics. It'll be the Virgin cover as that as well. So.
And here's the cover in question, actually. And how did you first come to work with that artist?
Diego messaged me out of the blue on Facebook and just showed me his portfolio, and I was just blown away by it. And I was like, "Yeah, man, let's hook up."
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I've had that happen quite a few times where people just randomly message me and like, "Are you looking for artists?" And I'm like, "No, but are you good?" And Diego was like one of those guys where he just blew it away. I was like, "Yeah, man, you got to do something for me." So, and he killed it. He knocked that out of the park. It's really cool. And then we hired, I got Nesta Radula, the guy that colors Punchline, to do that piece. And he just brought that to another level. So, I mean, that's a good cover. I like that one.
Which one's that here? Is that also on the page?
Yeah, that one right there. Yep, that one.
So you're saying the guy from Punchline did the colors on that one? Is that
yep.
right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So it was a two-man job there.
Yep.
Very nice. Yep. Well, yeah, man, they both really did amazing stuff there.
Yeah, and it's always kind of fun to see
awesome.
another artist do a rendition of your character, and he got me kind of thinking a little bit different about the design or how to portray it in a certain element that I wasn't quite thinking of at that time. So it's always nice to get a little different perspective sometimes.
Well, speaking of different perspective, I really appreciate talking to you right now about the book, because a lot of people we talk to come from this perspective of writers who are working with artists, but we don't necessarily get to often talk with creators who are both writers and artists on the project, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of stubborn. I work well with others, but I have a vision, and it's really hard for me to like give that to someone else. So I was like,
well, no, man, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thanks.
When you're passionate, I mean, that passion definitely shows through with the project, I think.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that, because after seeing it for so many months on end, I'm just like, I kind of hate it now.
Oh man, I can't get that too, man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And you kind of sit there and you're like, I don't know if this works anymore, and you're just like, whatever. So.
So here we have the next tier up is the $35 tier, and Demon Hunter Raven art book PDF. So,
this.
Oh, nice.
So this would be, you get the physical book and the print as well from that $20 one. But now you're going to be getting this basically large 50-page digital art book. And like I said earlier, it's got character concepts, character sketches, original designs for Raven, and the different iterations that I did to get to where I'm at with that, page layouts, and then the visual sorry, excuse me, the various promotional materials that I've been posting everywhere will be all compiled in there, and that's coming up to about 50 pages right now. So, but that's a digital thing right now.
Okay, very cool. Well, I do love the art books kind of thing, and the digital again allows you to kind of compile a lot of these things you wouldn't necessarily be able to put into print. Otherwise.
Yeah. So anyone that's kind of wants to see how design process was done and kind of my thought process in for it and how we ended up with the final product, this will kind of give you a really detailed idea in there. Because I mean, I've got quite a few sketches, and it varies from every single character in there. I've got various sketches of how I got there and what I landed on. So. Well,
that's really cool. You know, I like that kind of little behind the scenes look at how you actually created the book.
Yeah. I always enjoyed those too because I'll pick them up every single time just to learn design elements and philosophy behind that. Like, you know, one of the biggest things when you're designing characters, you want their personality to come out through the design. You know, like Batman. You know, you look at him and you clearly know what he is and who he is. So I mean, that's. When you're sitting there doing a character design, you really want to sit and think about, like, you know, what is his character traits, what is he doing, and how do you want him to be represented? So,
speaking of which, I think you've clearly done a good job of that with this character here. The character speaks for herself. Can maybe tease a little bit about who this character is?
Yeah, so she's I'm gonna say right off the front, she seems kind of like cannon fodder at the beginning. She's a gothic witch. These pages are kind of used as like your opening action scene in the book. We're just jumping right into the action, and the character is already in the dilemma, like, you know, oh, we got to go help this guy and everything. And this is just kind of the antagonist at the beginning. And I don't want to give too much away, but for those that are going to be buying the book, this scene is incredibly important for later. So if you're really into this book, pay attention to this page. But this is just a generic gothic witch, and
well, she definitely. Well, it's funny. If this is the generic gothic witch, you know, she already has a really good personality. So I'm excited to kind of see all the characters that you're going to populate the world with.
Thanks. Yeah, because we're going to be expanding this group later on. This is just a small snippet into this particular area, and the extra side story I'll be putting in for backers will go back into this particular group a little bit later. But later chapters are actually going to be dealing heavy with these guys. So this part seems kind of like not important at the moment, but it will play heavy later on. So a little foreshadowing for you guys that are going to be reading this. Pay attention. So.
That's funny, man. Very cool. Well, I definitely can't look, or rather, I look forward to seeing more of that world building as we go forward here.
Cool. Thank you.
So at the next tier, we have the $45 level, and that's called the Northern Nights Chapter 1.
Yeah.
So how does this one work?
So again, it's just a digital book. I've never actually had this out for anyone. This is from years ago. So this is for people that have followed me in the past, that have asked for that. So it's the real campy book, and I'm probably the worst salesman for it, but that was just put on there for people that have known me for a while. So
well, you know, if I were, you know, I come from a sales background in a sense. If I were to say, if you know, if I'm listening to you right, this book is your action book, whereas Northern Nights is maybe your fun adventure book.
Yeah. Because and they're completely sort of clash in tone and my marketing groups. I mean, the people that love Demon Hunter Raven don't really blend very well with Northern Nights. So this was just kind of.
You never know, though. You'd be surprised the kind of variety of stories that people can be into. So
that's true.
Yeah,
but,
you never know out there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's only 20 pages, and it's part of a bigger volume that I don't know. If more people back it, maybe I'll consider releasing the whole thing. It just depends on how I feel. But at the moment,
man, that'd be kind of cool to see if you get more interest in there. And then you get to do that one down the line as well.
Because I have 50 pages total, and I've sold it at cons and everything. It's just a much harder sell for me, so it's something I just put on the back burner. And this one is obviously a little bit more gets people's more interest, so I'm focusing on this one more.
Well, yeah, I mean, the world is just so cool that you've kind of built here. Like I'm looking here at the panels, you know, and you kind of see some characters in the background, and you're like, oh, what's going down over here in this alley? I want to go kind of find out what they're talking about over here.
Thanks. Oh, and speaking of, this is the Crusader in that page, the guy that
really
has to go back to, or his superior, his higher ranking officer or whatever you want to call it. But It's kind of based off of old Knights of the Templar. So being in part of the story, it's kind of a military church is the one that's going around and fighting these demons, and they're just one of the groups in the book, or the story. In this book, this is the only group you'll see for this chapter, but there's more coming. Because again, it's a world, but you don't want to just go out and just do kind of like what I call as world porn. You want to focus on the characters. So we're focusing on the characters heavily. I mean, there's got to be dynamic. There's got to be emotion. So if you feel invested in the story, hopefully I draw you in, and you're willing to find out more of what's going on with all these characters. So
would you say character comes first then?
Yes, definitely.
Nice. That's good. Because you can have a good world, but if you don't have good characters, it's not necessarily as fun to follow their adventures.
Yeah, to me, world building or all that stuff is extra. If you're not invested in the characters, you haven't done your job.
Right.
So,
yeah. That's very true, man. Yeah.
So you want to have an emotional investment into these characters, and that's kind of what we try to go for right off the bat. So draw them in.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right. Yeah, this is the variant and the regular cover together. So you get the Diago and the regular cover. You'll get both books.
Oh, nice.
And you'll get both prints, and you'll get Northern Knights and the art books. You're gonna get everything in this one package. And then there's one print in there by I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's Dottorini. He does very realistic paintings. You've probably seen him on a few times, but he does a lot of viral art that he'll do. Like I think his last one is he did a bunch of photo manipulations of the Batman with Robert Pattinson, and he did one of Zoe, whatever her name was, of Catwoman. And
wow.
People mistook it as actual screen caps, but this is how good this guy is. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, and my avatar for this right now is what he's working on right now. So it's a full body scale image of what Raven would look like if he was like in a movie or something. So, and people that are already backers can look at an update and see what that looks like right now, because he's in the progress of making it. It's 3 months, but the wait is worth it. It looks amazing. Just what you're seeing right now is like maybe 5% of what he's done so far. So
that's excellent. Yeah.
So backers, yeah, they get to see that rough image right now. So they know that it's actually being worked on.
When this is practically the complete package. Obviously, we see there's a tier below, but this is almost the entire package here.
Yep.
Very nice. And then we have the $80 tier, the all-in tier.
Yep. So this is everything from the $50, and then I'm doing special commissions. So like a one single character or whatever, promo art or whatever you want. It's just a one single commission for someone, and that's at a kind of a discount price. I don't usually run it that low. So.
Well, that's awesome. And are you taking? Do they have to be original characters, or will you take fan art style requests? What kind of limits do you have here?
Pretty much anything, as long as it is appropriate.
So not safe for work is off the table. I take it.
Yeah, because I have 5 kids, so they're obviously.
That's fair. Yeah.
I don't want to have to explain to them. Yeah, I don't want to have to explain to them. Yeah.
I get that for sure.
What's happening there, Dad? Step
away. Oh God, we'll get into another time, right?
Yeah.
Let's avoid that awkward situation and definitely keep it safe for work with those requests. But definitely, other than that, pretty much the sky's the limit as far as creativity wise goes. If you guys want to do yourself, if you want to have a character, maybe have an original character for your own comic you want to see in this style, I'm sure that he'd be willing to work with you on that and kind of what to do.
And on Instagram, for BMR Comics is what I go under. I have a few examples of some of the commissions I've done for people and special artwork that I'll do up the side. So, yeah.
Well, awesome, man. I love the different tiers that you have here. You have a lot of good stuff on display, and as I said earlier, we're going to definitely see the prints. I think there's some examples of prints earlier or later down on the page that we're going to see here.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of cool stuff to check out, man. Like from digital to print and physical, you got a lot of really good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really trying to it was kind of a trial by error. I was trying to figure out what people wanted to see, and definitely for the next one, I'll be making some amendments and changes to best fit what people actually want. Yeah, some of those were changed. Those aren't the original awards that started out with the Kickstarter. A lot of those were changed because people came in and were just like, I want to see this. And I was like, yeah, sure, you got it. So
Oh wow, that's cool. Kind of listening to people who are actually going to be buying and
yeah,
kind of actually trying to implement that in there.
yeah, and like, why not? They want to buy from you. That's your customer. You want to give them what they
Listen to
want,
them, right?
Yeah.
No, that's a good point, man. But I love this shot here. I love just the different tones you've used and to kind of the style. You've really done a good job of setting the composition of this page up here.
Thanks. It almost didn't work.
Really? Oh my god.
Yeah,
Well,
don't look
funny.
too closely. The perspective's way off. I screwed it up and I'm trying to hide it. So.
Hey, well, it looks cool to me, man. But it actually brought up a question I have, which is, he has this ancient relic he's working with. What kind of abilities does it kind of give him? What does it allow him to do?
The simple thing I can answer right now is it simply gives him these electrical powers, such as, speaking again, like a thunderstorm. We don't really get too far into the actual relic itself in this chapter. The second chapter, the next one, will answer all those questions more thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
But from this chapter, it just simply is the answer to a dire situation. And in the 21-page preview that I have on this, there's a link on there. Kind of shows you how the relic works, but it's an energy-based thing, but it has the ability to fuse with someone. And yeah, I'm going to be answering most of that in the second chapter. So I raised a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah, feel free to keep it light. Yeah, I don't want to I don't want you to spoil anything necessarily here.
No, yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
That would be a major point of the next chapter.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Figure out more of how it actually works.
Yep. So
that's awesome, man.
There'll be a lot of lore in between there. That thing is very important to the story throughout, so it will play a large part of the story later. And
okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So
now here we have an image. Is this one of the prints by any chance?
Yeah, that will be the regular cover, and that will be the print.
Nice. Okay. Okay. So cover and print. Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this was colored by Steve Cannon, the guy behind Jack Irons.
Nice.
So.
Very cool, man. And of course, viewers should be very familiar with Jack Irons at this point.
Yep.
Anyone who doesn't know, we published them with that comic. So Steve Cannon's a great guy. Yeah, he does great work, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he nailed this. He just.
Yeah.
I got a funny story behind that I haven't even told him yet. That I went to a con this last year, and I was just kind of doing a test run to see, like, how would this play with people, doing some marketing tests. And I took this image that he colored for me and I put it out front with some other stuff. And 9 out of 10 times people would walk by a table, stop, look at that image, and sit and glare at it and just be like, "What's this about?" So I mean, like, he helped. I mean, he had it was everything you wanted. Like, when you're looking at a cover, it draws the eye in and gets people questioning, and then you were able to engage. So, I mean,
it really does. Yeah.
Yeah. So the hues and the level of colors that he used on it, it really draws you in. So, I mean, it was more than what I asked for. He did a stupendous job on that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. He like you said, he just really elevated the whole thing, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
I love the creatures there too.
Yeah, that's kind of a glimpse of some of the demons that will be in there. There's going to be a very wide, vast outreach demons that you're going to see, and different spirits. It's not just about demons. There's going to be different groups and like I said, witches, vampires, and stuff like that will all be just a wide variety of groups will be in there. But
so can we expect for the action? Can we expect? You said you're a big Bleach fan, so are we talking like Ninja Gaiden's levels of action here? Or, is it pretty intense action?
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but at the end there's going to be a very brutal massacre fight that it's a breakdown. I kind of like going back to that original Ninja Turtles first issue where they fight.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a panel where, like, the turtles are now, like, they've defeated the Foot Clan, and now they're about to come mano a mano with Shredder, and they're already cut to pieces. And I've always, like, that just stuck with me that I was like, I want to really kind of bring that level to it. And also just kind of thinking about the Netflix series Daredevil, like, I mean, Matt Murdock gets the crap beat out of him in that
Oh
show.
yeah.
And I want to kind of show that human side. Like, these guys aren't invulnerable. Like, they're not Superman. You know, they're not. I want you to be able to feel them and know that these guys can get beat. They're not. You know,
Not
they
invincible.
can die. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the main thing here. Is the fights will be a lot. They'll be kind of like, you know, in Daredevil. You're going to see a lot of them. A lot of ninja action, different groups of stuff like that. So
yeah, it's exciting, man. I love the katana he's rocking there.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's cool. The character's really cool, and I love the influences you've kind of really put into him. It's a really character.
Thanks. Yeah, and I did a lot of test runs with that before I landed on that. Because you want the main character to kind of stand out. You want people to kind of come in and be like, I want to read this. And so my main point was always be like, would I read this? Would I actually sit down with this instead of just kind of sitting there and writing for fun? So I wanted him to be a strong, outstanding character. So I think I worked with this. I sat and tried to flesh him out for 4 months. I just sat and just pounded out one design after another. And the art book will show the large amount of designs I did before I ended up with this. So
yeah, that's just shows how much dedication you have for the story, really.
Thanks. Yeah, and like even the glowing patterns on him is just supposed to show kind of like the surge of energy going through him, that he's he's got supernatural powers. So, you know, again, talking about the characteristics, what you want to show, and that sort of stuff. And then one little thing there, the scarf was put on there also just to help show movement and flow on a page, because, you know, you got a lot of static images. You want something that shows maybe helps depth or movement. So that was also kind of just put in there by design to help the eye kind of go where the movement's going. So hopefully that helps out when people are looking at stuff.
Well, it's awesome, man. Definitely, like I said, definitely shows in your artwork that you've put the amount of like this amount of attention to detail into it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Any influences, any kind of creators or manga or comic creators that you really look to as for your biggest influences?
Boy, you know, it's a wide variety, and it just totally depends on the project I'm working on or the day. Like I said, Jim Lee, Takashi Obata are some of the biggest ones, but Yoji Shikinawa, from the artist that does Hideo Kojima's like Metal Gear, Death Stranding. I'm just, his design and his influences, how he creates things are just mind-boggling to me. And then there's a tad bit of, which is weird, like the art style to Avatar, The Last Airbender. The simplicity of their designs, but yet so streamlined, kind of gives you a sense of like, you know, you don't need to overdo it. You don't need to put in so much into each design to like, you don't need every single character be like flowing with like or guns. It just, you need the simplistic there to tell the audience what they're looking at. So
no, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, and those are all great influences there.
And like Crusader here, he's a holy knight, and he's the head charge. So you want to go with something of a high-ranking looking guy, and then there's multiple different crosses on him, but he's got a scheme that, you know, there's a cross on every pattern on him to show his alliance and what he stands with. So
does he have does he work as part of a larger organization with other similarly kind of, you know, similar individuals?
Yep. I don't go too much into their actual way that the order works, which is what he's part of. But where the preview ends and where the book, where the Kickstarter will continue off of, will give you kind of a glimpse into that and the organization. There will be kind of a lore sort of part that describes what this whole entire group is about, and kind of what his purpose in the part is. That they're extremely needed for the organization. They're picked to be they're groomed, basically. As in where Raven, our main character Adam, accidentally fell into this. He didn't have a choice to come into this. Well, the Crusaders are groomed. They're kind of made into this thing, and they're basically the front line of defense. So and then you have your foot soldiers, the guys that are kind of like, you know, the guys in the background that are just kind of like they do little things here and there. So yeah, this is the main guy for that organization.
Well, I
And,
definitely love the style that you got going on for this character. I knew instantly, like when I saw him and you were kind of talking about, it, I was like, he really seemed like he would be part of this kind of larger organization, and I really
yeah,
want to start learning more about them as the kind of go
yeah,
forward here
and,
within
and,
the
and
next few issues.
yeah, and think of kind of like the Knights of the Templar, how there's a lot of groups already, or there's a lot of soldiers in it, but you have like different rankings for different people within it, and they'll have different um, uh, stuff that they're supposed to be doing. So he's the head leader. He's the one that dictates what's going on, and he's probably the strongest out of all of them. But yeah, if you go down to the next one, I also kind of give a little ranking as to like what different individuals in the group might be, like a medic, a spy, and just like a brute, a foot soldier guy. So there's different groups within it, and Raven kind of is an outsider to it. He doesn't really fit into their set structure. He kind of almost breaks up their flow in a sense. Because they're not people with powers. These aren't. That's kind of a foreign thing in this world. Like a lot of people, what I call it in the book is they have pneuma eyes, which is Greek for vision, so they can see spirits. And people like outside of that can't see, so they don't see these evil spirits. So a lot of these guys then that can see these evil spirits don't necessarily have powers. Raven's a very fantastic element to the group, and a lot of people are kind of scared of him. So. A lot of confrontation in that part too. Maybe not always trusted as well either. So some people might view him as a threat as well. You know, can we trust this guy? So.
Oh yeah, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Now in the chat here, Neostar says, "Wait, he's a fan of TMNT and Daredevil too, dude. You just secured a backer."
Oh, awesome.
He also points
Yeah,
out an
man.
interesting point. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. That's it. Yeah, keep going.
I was gonna say, well, the only thing I was gonna say was, he also points out, scarf dynamics are great for displays of movement, which actually
Yeah.
is a really good point.
Yep. And that was put in there on purpose to show dynamic of movement. Because whenever you think about something that's moving, or just to even help a static image, it just looks cool. So.
Right? No, I mean that's pretty smart. Yeah. I
Yeah.
can totally get why you do that. Yeah.
But
So moving on to the next little piece here. So we have some more. Is this some concept art here that we have?
yeah, these are
What
characters that are in
we
the
have here?
first 10 pages. You've got the brute, the medic, and the spy. The guy in the
Nice.
middle, the guy that's laying on the floor.
These are all order members, right?
Yeah, these are part of the order. So the spy is actually wearing one of the outfits of the witches. So he's not in actual order outfit, but the rest of them are wearing order outfits, and kind of describes like you've got the medic, the spy, and the brute that carries out like the foot soldier work. So just to kind of give you a general idea that this organization is vast, but they're very secret. They're not out there. One of the things that I really wanted to do with this book is paint it in a real world scenario of like, what if they really were here? What if this was going on? Like, what would we see? Obviously the Crusader looks like kind of a fantastic element. Like, what if he just walked into a restaurant? Would he be dressed like that? So I wanted to kind of give them something of normality to their sort of design. So.
No, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I really love the different kind of designs you've given the order members. They kind of like, you can tell because of the cross symbol of their affiliation, but they all have a unique feel to them. That it still gives them that kind of ability to stand out as a unique character.
Yeah, and I always like that too, because when you're looking at a comic or even a TV show or anime, you don't want a cookie cutter looking characters. You want something to kind of help you see these characters, and put kind of a real world perspective on it, help everyone see this stuff. So, yeah, and I just like doing that. I also I just get really tired of drawing the same thing over and over again. So.
And another comment in the chat, Jeremy Lott says this looks like a lot of fun. Very happy backer.
I got to say thanks to Jeremy. That guy completely is the reason why I got to the funded goal at the end here. He was just pushing it all the way. So Jeremy, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. You have been a tremendous help, man. If you could see this, I'm giving you a huge thumbs up right now.
Well, that's great. Yeah, Jeremy's a great guy, and I'm glad to hear that he was helping you out with your project there.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's cool. I'm really appreciative of that. So.
And then here again we have the variant cover.
Yep.
We saw earlier. where he's ripping this demon's head off, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You can't not love that. And then we have just kind of another breakdown of all the rewards with the digital and then the different physical rewards that you can look at for.
Yeah, just kind of describing further kind of what you're getting. So
you see a little bit of a preview of the. Oh, that's cool. You see a little bit of a preview of the Northern Nights there.
Yeah, and it kind of just gives you an idea.
Dude, oh my God, it's awesome. I could totally see your TMNT influences even in that one, dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I don't sell that one as often anymore is when I was doing test runs at conventions, is people always be like, "What is this, Ninja Turtles?" And I'd be like, "No." So it obviously would get off to the wrong start. So
that's
like,
funny.
I don't think the book's got anywhere, but
hey man, I like it. I like it, and I know there's still a lot of big TMNT fans out there who will really enjoy that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's still big, So yeah, definitely love to see that, man. And then we see a little bit of the Detrinti print there.
I can't pronounce his name either, so don't worry.
I was like, man, he's right. It is hard to pronounce.
Yeah. But yeah, if you look him up even on Instagram, he's got some amazing artwork, and just happy that I was able to secure him for a commission, because I mean, I love this image. I mean, that's how
amazing, dude.
Yeah, and that's how I envision Raven, like a special armor, like it looks like really cool armor, and in my simplistic drawings, that's kind of what I was going for, and he just nailed it. And I was just like, oh man, this is awesome. So
and it has such subtlety too, which is really nice.
Yeah, and he got me kind of thinking a little bit different on how to render it more in a 3D sort of idea. So I'm like, I'm
nice.
Go back and add a few things now, or see it a little bit different. So.
Well, very cool, man. The pages are all looking great. Everything is looking nice. The book's looking great. The art is just top notch.
Thank you.
And even your story and world building is really great as well. I just love the different things that you got going on here, man.
Thanks.
And so the goal obviously was at $500. Excuse me, and at $561 right now. With now 16 hours to go. When we started with 17 hours to go. So now we're down to 16 hours to go. So again, this is something that's limited time. It'll be gone for a while. There's probably on the next Kickstarter, imagine you might offer another opportunity to pick it up. But for now, this will be the place to get it. So
yeah.
Really want to help push this forward. And as we said earlier, it might have reached the goal already, but that doesn't mean that every little bit doesn't help and count. As a creator, I understand that. All those funds will just make the book better and help go towards that production. So it's really better for everyone, who wants to back this book to do it now before it ends the 16 hours there.
Yeah, because and even in chapter 2, I'm going to be introducing a whole bunch of more characters that are going to be pivotal to the story. That I'm really excited for the second chapter. Even this first chapter starts out with a bang and just leads into a bunch of battles, but the second chapter is going to go and just take it even further.
And it sounds like to me, it sounds like you're the kind of writer and creator who really likes to do your world building kind of as your action goes along.
Yeah. Like I'm really big into like Christopher Nolan movies, and I love how he puts the character front and center, and the world is revolving around that character. Like he's reacting to the scenarios. Like Batman Begins, the way that story is told is you're following Bruce Wayne's journey as he is discovering all these elements and coming across and encountering his fear and stuff like that. And that's kind of really what I want to go through in terms of storytelling capabilities, is have my characters, my themes, and then let the world be the reaction to what's going on. Kind of like, in The Dark Knight, even like how the Joker basically turned Batman's world upside down. He's the antithesis to Batman's ideals that he sets out with right away. So that's kind of what I go with in my writing is I'm gonna set you up on this character's ideals, his thoughts, and what he's after. Like what are his goals? I'm gonna make that point clear, and so you can know right off the bat, what is this guy fighting for? I don't want you to find out on the last page. I want you to find out on page 1, and then walk with him, so that by the time we get to chapter 2, we can kind of say like and just destroy those voluntary ideals and throw them back in his face and just really put him through the mud. So. and a part of this story too is for anyone that may be dealing with tragedies or suffering. I had quite a few tragedies happen to me in this last year, and the story was kind of almost, in a sense, therapeutic for me. It was kind of written out of anger, as much as the character is going through anger. I was going through anger, so I wrote a lot of my anger into the character. And so anyone that's kind of maybe dealing with issues, I really want this to also be somewhat to talk to them and be like, you can get through this, or, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you may not see it right now, but, take it day by day. And that's kind of how this character has to deal with it. So I'm hoping it also helps people. I don't want it to just be a story. I want it to be something that people can walk away from at the end and just be like, yeah, okay, that helped me with what I'm doing right now. I'm in that same situation, and maybe I can make it a little bit longer or something. So
well, that's awesome, and I really appreciate that. I definitely think it's something that people can connect with as as readers. And I think people will really appreciate that you put that in there.
yeah.
Jeremy says, "Right, angry, my friend."
I think that's all I do now is write angry.
We have another. Jeremy actually does have a question from the chat. He says, "If this hasn't been asked yet, you did a previous campaign for another book that didn't make it. What did you learn from that?"
Oh boy, man, what didn't I learn? Yeah, that was for the Northern Nights book. Like I said, just I had a hard time selling it. I had a goal that was what I thought reasonable, but it turns out that there just wasn't a want for it. So I took it. Yeah, and so from that, I kind of turned around and just kind of asked myself, I'm like, okay, if people didn't want the book, what did I do wrong? Did I not sell it right? Was it just not applicable? And then I just kind of figured out that I was marketing it to the wrong audience, and it just wasn't the right time. And the group people that I was selling it to it was just wrong.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can get that.
And the confusion with Ninja Turtles really played into that too. Like people were like, "What is this, Ninja Turtles or something?" So it was just, I everything that you could fail on, I pretty much flopped on in that case. So when I turned around and started working on Demon Hunter, I immediately started thinking, about what's my target demographic. What are they into? So I started thinking about angry people, heavy metal, anime, manga, and that sort of stuff. And I just started trying to pinpoint, like, okay, how do I reach that? How do I get this in there? And so even his design is very much infused into that, like an angry thing. Like the mask on him is supposed to almost represent screaming in a sense. Like it doesn't show it exactly, but I wanted to look like when his eyes are glowing, he's rushing at an enemy. There's just this possibility that he's also screaming as he's coming at you. So I just wanted this ferocity in the design, and for that just to come across. So yeah, failure brought about a lot of hard knocks and a lot of learning. So that it was tough at the time, but totally needed, because it kind of opened my eyes to what I was doing wrong. But yeah.
Nice, man. That's great. No, it's sometimes you kind of need that to learn what you're doing wrong and to learn what you need to start doing right, I guess.
yeah, definitely.
So what can we expect from the future of Demon Hunter Raven?
Okay, let's see. Well, as soon as this book is done with this campaign tomorrow, I'm going to start working on the backup, which is kind of like an issue 0, which will be a more of an introductory and kind of fill in some pieces to what's going on in the book that maybe people have a question for. I want to provide a little extra content for there. And then the second chapter is going to deal with this relic that he's infused with, and this world that he's engaged in. He's going to meet some more characters. We're going to get more into his daily life. The first chapter is really kind of him joining this organization and the search for his dad. As I said at the beginning, and in the preview of the free pages, his dad goes missing. So we're going to go more into depth of, like, what happened to his dad? Where's everything at right now? And how does he revolve around all this activity? And hunting demons, how do you deal with that? That's a nightmare situation. How do you deal with that in a family life? How do you deal with that in a high school life? And where things go from beyond that point. So we're going to be dealing with more of the catharsis of his personal life compared to the part where he's dealing with his, I want to say job-like sort of part of it. So we're looking at the job sort of part of it in the first chapter. In the second chapter, we're going to be bringing in a lot of more of the supporting characters. So we're going to drop them into some very fun situations that I think I'm going to be introducing 8 characters, and they're going to be integral to the next few chapters, and they're just going to be a blast.
Wow.
So
more of that world building, man.
Yeah, and after this, the book's funded in about 2 months. I'll start revealing their designs and the next few
Nice.
characters. So I'll be ramping up the next part. And I've got one design here that I'm just sitting here that I've been on for 6 months that I'm just really pushing it. And as in Raven is the main protagonist of this book. This other character is going to be kind of almost coinciding with them, and they're an incredibly important part to the story and building out his personality and where he needs to go. They're going to basically be helping him get to a certain point. But yeah, very important stuff coming up next. But I'm really hoping people dig it because I've got some really cool stories I want to tell. And
That's
I've got
awesome,
a really cool, and I've got some cool action beats I'm going to be working on. I mean, once people get this book and they see what I've done at the end here, I hope they come back and they're just like, well, I've got to see what he does next. So I've got quite a surprise at the end of this book that
really.
Yeah, so.
Well, that's awesome, man. I definitely love how exciting your series is. Has a lot to look forward to and a lot of really awesome characters. And I just love how much passion you got for it.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's great, man.
It's definitely a passion. I think I've been spending a year working on this, and now that it's up here, the coronavirus happening as it is right now kind of fumbled a few plans, but you keep going through it and you get what you can. I'm not too worried about the money. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the money I'm making. I want to bring in backers. I want to bring in readers. I care more about that right now. I want people to read it. So it's the more of an audience I can build up, that's what I care about more right now. So. And
as we start to wrap up here, I did want to ask you one final question, which is, do you have any advice for new comic creators who are thinking about trying to make their own comic?
Yeah. So first off, the biggest thing is learn who you want to write for. You're writing for yourself, but you're also writing for an audience. And the saying of, if you build it, they will come is a complete lie. You've got to market it. Study marketing. As much as you want to create, study marketing. We're heading into a new phase of, the world here with how things are going to look on the other side of this whole entire issue is you're going to have to sell yourself just as much as you're selling your product. So figure out who you're selling it to, what you're selling, and just get good at your craft. Be number one. Figure out what your strengths are. I spent the first 6 months figuring out what people like to see out of me, what they wanted, and then I started on purpose directing my skills towards that area. So yeah, just take the time to know who you're coming in. I guess that would be overall, but I mean, if anybody wants to talk further about that, just message me. I mean, I guess I would even just kind of look at the Rags guys. Those guys they know what they're doing. I've listened to a lot of their videos, Brian, and he's got a really good setup. His book is, the covers are very catchy, but once you start looking on the inside, there's more depth to it. So, they know how they're selling it. And that's what you got to think about too. You're not just putting out a book, a comic with a story in it. You're also selling an idea. And people want to come on an emotional journey, and think about like why certain movies flop, like why did Birds of Prey not do as good as maybe Sonic? Think of the audience that you're participating for, One of the biggest things that someone was talking to me about is, do you have the audience you want? Are they going to turn on you the minute they find out that maybe you're not what they think you are, or you're not dealing with what they are? I know already I've lost a few backers because they found out I probably don't align with their ideals or their backgrounds, and that's fine because we probably weren't going to make very good ends to begin with, and they were probably going to clash with what I'm putting in the book anyways. But sell to what you want to sell, and don't compromise. Don't go out there and just try to sell it just to make money. Put something out there, but also work on getting a fan base. Get people to trust you. Deliver on stuff. Just because you can draw or write doesn't mean that you can always deliver. Work on that too. And take it one step at a time. Don't have such big epic plans. I hit that hard at first and set goals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so.
Well, that's great, man. Oh, I appreciate you coming on to talk with us tonight a little bit about your project, and I definitely hope people will check it out. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here one more time, or actually a couple more times here. But where can people follow you online so they can check out all the stuff you got going on?
Yeah, so anywhere else besides Twitter, I'm BMR Comics, and
BMR
we have
Comics.
Yep, and we have a website that's BMR Comics. That's where Demon Hunter Raven is. And you can read a free preview, 21 pages on there.
Right.
And then on Twitter, I'm just Nicholas Raven Mueller. So that would be the places you can find me.
Well, that's very awesome, man. And so the preview you said is of the first 21 pages. Is that right?
Yep. And right on the Kickstarter, there's a link after some of the pages that you can pull it up right away. And I'm, giving 21 pages to people to see if they actually something that they would be into. Because I know right now that you're buying something. You want to know, you want to know what you're getting before you buy it. So if it's something you're into, give it a look, and you like it, keep following. And
very nice, man.
And even if you don't have time to do it right now, I understand we're in a situation. Shoot me a message, and I'll even add you to the mailing list. Or we'll have that later on too. Once the campaign's done, I'll be putting up a mailing list way to sign up and get more stuff. So,
well, that's awesome, man. That's
we're in a hard time.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't take it lightly. We gotta help each other out and understand that things are difficult right now. So money's tight for everyone.
Oh, definitely. But at the same time, I know everyone could use a little bit of escapism and escape into a fun world. So this is kind of stuff that is definitely in that category. Definitely it'd be fun to jump into Adam's world and see what he's got going on for a little while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm hoping people really enjoy it, because it's going to be a lot of twists and turns. I like subverting expectations, set you up for something, then completely take it away from you and give you something else. So. Hopefully people like the dynamics I'm setting up here. So,
well, definitely people who are on the fence, go check out bmrcomics.com, and we have the link up there. That's where you can check out the preview if you want to maybe just see a little bit more and see if it's it for you, and then you can go check it on the Kickstarter, which is at the link here, and then you can back it as well. And as you can see, from the art, it's definitely top notch. Adam's doing the art, or rather, Nicholas is doing the art here. Sorry, Nicholas doing Nicholas doing the art here all himself, and he's also working with some really cool artists on some variant covers and other stuff as well. And just from the story and just hearing him talk about it today, I know he's really passionate about the project and has a lot of really cool stuff in store with a lot of really interesting characters, a lot of interesting action, and a lot of cool stuff coming up. So definitely check it out. Please go back it. Again, it's only got, I think, 16 hours to go at this point, so it's down to the wire. It's made its goal, so it's going to get funded. But the more the merrier, and the more it can help it out. And if you want to get your copy, it's definitely now is the time to do it rather than later. So definitely appreciate you guys coming out on the chat, hanging out with us today. And I appreciate you coming out to talk with us, Nicholas. And thank you again, everyone. And we appreciate seeing you on the next episode. If you can give us a like or a follow, we appreciate that as well. And just go check out the book, because it is going to be awesome, man. It's going to be full of awesome action. Bleach fans can check it out. And any other kind of action fans are going to really enjoy it. So please go check it out and back this book. And we will see you guys later. You have a great night, everyone.